The Unburied, a legacy of blood and Appalachian soil. Narrator. History is not a quiet grave. It is a whispering wood, where the past is never truly dead. It simply waits, patient and hungry, for us to listen. Welcome back. What you are about to hear is not merely a story forgotten by time. It is a chronicle written in silence, sealed in blood, and buried deep within the hollows of Appalachia. This is the harrowing history of the Elbridge line, a legacy that proves some families are not just born, they are rooted. On old land surveys you can still find it, a crooked square of ink marking the Elbridge homestead, carved into the mountains between Jackson County, Kentucky, and the Virginia line. But if you seek it today, the forest offers only ghosts, scattered brickwork, a skeletal foundation being swallowed by ivy and root. The wilderness has taken it back, as if the very earth wanted its secrets to stay buried. The first hints of the rot within the Elbridge line don't scream from police blotters or court dockets. They seep from the margins of history, a faded 1869 census entry, written in pencil so faint it's almost a breath. It lists Jonah Elbridge, 38, farmer, his wife, Mary, age 17. Under children, a single chilling word, expected. By the 1880 census, Jonah is gone. Mary remains, now the head of the household, but the true horror is in the tally of souls living under her roof. 7 children, all named Elbridge, no other adults, and in the column for relation to head of house, for each child, a single impossible word, unknown. The doctor who signed Jonah's death certificate claimed natural causes. Yet, decades later, his personal journal was discovered in a dusty archive. In it, he confessed, "There was nothing natural about what I saw in that house. He died with his eyes wide open, pupils pinned, his mouth packed with wax. Mary refused to bury him until the 3rd day. She said she was waiting for a sign." Whispers from the ridge. By 1895, a railroad surveyor passing through the region made a private note in his field book, a note that survives in a museum basement in Corbin to this day. "Avoid the Elbridge Ridge. There's singing from the trees some nights in no language I know. They say it's just the girls practicing hymns. I don't think so." From this point, the Elbridges flicker through history like a bad signal. They vanish from official records, only to reappear in the aftermath of local tragedies, dead livestock, poisoned wells, children who went out walking and never came home. In letters to state officials, the family is never named, only referred to in hushed tones as "them folks up the ridge." Then, in 1901, 3 men clearing brush stumbled upon a discovery that defied explanation. A white dress, pristine and untouched by time, was draped across a wooden frame near the homestead ruins. The bodice was stuffed with human hair, the sleeves stitched shut, and inside the chest cavity, a single sentence was embroidered in red thread. "The bride returns when the sun is ready." Before we descend further into the darkness, I must ask you something. This channel is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand that the most terrifying truths are often the ones we've tried hardest to forget. If you are still listening, you are one of the brave. You know that some histories demand to be heard, so if you have the courage to confront what was buried, hit subscribe and join our community of truth seekers. Let me know in the comments what state you're listening from. Who knows what secrets might be hidden in your own backyard? Her name was Martha Caldwell. In 1904, she was one of the last government souls to walk out of the Elbridge Hollow alive. A field nurse assigned to rural Kentucky, her visit was meant to be routine, a check on infant health under the new Public Welfare Mother S Act. She never spoke of what she found, but her ledger, discovered in a government storage barn in 1967, tells a different story. In tight, precise cursive dated April 14, 1904, she writes, "Arrived at the ridge by foot. Air is close, the forest silent, too silent. No sound but my shoes on dry soil. Houses visible, structure crooked, roof sagged, smells of turpentine and elder root. A girl, no older than 12, answered her knock. Bare feet, a dress thin as paper. Child would not speak, Martha wrote. Eyes glassy, not unkind, just watching. She was invited inside. The windows were shrouded with bundles of dried plants, tied with animal sinew. The air smelled of pine, wax, and something metallic like iron. Multiple girls inside all look alike. No male voices heard. One older woman in a chair, face painted with white powder, said nothing, just hummed. A pot boiled on the hearth, smelled off, something in it with teeth. She was shown a swaddled newborn, but the form was too still, the skin a deathly gray. Told the infant was born of blood promise, she scribbled. Girl holding it smiled, missing all her front teeth. At the bottom of the page, in a later shakier hand, she added a final damning line. This is not a family. This is a vault. Something is kept here. Martha returned to her station, filed her report, and never took another assignment near the ridge. She died in 1911 at just 36 years old. The cause on her certificate, exhaustion of unknown origin. The whispers became a roar in 1919. Two children, Samuel Ryburn and Betty Jo Clemens, vanished after church, their trail leading toward the Elbridge boundary before disappearing entirely. Only Betty Jo's bonnet was found, wedged in a thorn bush, its interior damp with something that was not rain. This was enough for Deputy Franklin Harker, a war veteran with a temper and a memory of his grandmother S. warning, that ridge is where God left off and something else took over. He secured a rare petition to forcibly inspect the homestead. What his team found was so horrifying it was sealed forever. A partially burned report, recovered after a courthouse fire in 1962, gives a grim account. The house was unoccupied. Food on the table still warm. Numerous hand-carved dolls found upstairs. One bore a stitched name, Betty Jo. But beneath the hearth, they found a concealed cellar door. Inside, 11 wooden crates. Each contained preserved human remains. Infants, juveniles, an adult female. The report's final handwritten line, the eyes are all open. The Elbridge name was struck from the census. Officially, they had migrated, but no one ever saw them leave. The path was blocked with barbed wire, yet locals said the ridge still hummed at night, a low sound like bees behind a wall. And once a year, 3 black feathers would appear on the church door in Pine Knot. A reminder. The Elbridges were never gone. They had just sunk deeper in 1937. A man named Arlen Buckner, a known moonshiner, stumbled out of the tree line behind the Pine Knot General Store. He was barefoot, bleeding, a length of barbed wire tangled around his arm. He was trembling, missing fingernails, and could only repeat one phrase. She watches. She watches, even from the dirt. At the infirmary, doctors found old scars and a fresh brand on his back, not burned, but carved, a symbol of 3 interlocked triangles. The town's oldest resident, Miss Edith Mays, paled at the sight. That's theirs, she whispered, the mark they gave to boys they kept. Committed to a state hospital, Arlen suffered screaming fits triggered by the smell of fresh bread or creaking wood. One night he scrawled 5 words on his wall in his own blood. Do not bury the dead. He died in 1943. The mortician noted that the carved symbol on his back had healed, but was still visible beneath the skin as if it were growing. The modern echoes. The story did not end. In 1954, a barber found a hidden letter signed E. It read, I write this with the last of my fingers. I buried Mama 4 times. She never stayed down. The letter vanished from evidence within days. In 1963, a skeptical new deputy, Clara Wills, was called to reports of screaming from under an abandoned church. In the crawl space, she found a girl, alive but barely, with a stitched-up mouth. Her wrists were branded with the 3 triangles. On the wood above her, a phrase was burned. She breathed through the roots. Men in black government sedans arrived, took the girl, and closed the case. Deputy Wills was later removed from the force. On her deathbed, she confessed to her niece. That girl wasn't hiding. She was guarding something. In 1969, a contractor sent to demolish the old Elbridge well found the bricks were warm and pulsing. When he chipped one, a dark, viscous liquid seeped out. It smelled of wet iron and herbs. His contract was canceled by morning. The area around the well became dead earth. No birds, no insects, no life. The chosen one. The breakthrough came from within. Nora Elbridge, born in 1931, was chosen to continue the family's dark tradition, but she was different. She read books, wrote poems, and dreamed of the world beyond the hollow. She refused the bloody rituals, and in 1974 she ran away. She returned under an alias, a social worker determined to stop the cycle. She filed reports on a new generation of Elbridge women, gathering evidence of their horrors. She documented everything in a diary and mailed it to a colleague for safekeeping. The next morning, she was dead, a hit and run with no witnesses. Her package was intercepted, never to be seen again. But she had hidden a second diary, an iron box tucked in the cellar. Its final entry, written hours before her death. They don't preserve bodies, they preserve obedience, but rot always rises. And when it does, I hope someone remembers my name, Nora Elbridge, the one who said no. The unbroken line. Nora's diary, discovered years later, revealed the horrific truth. The Elbridges believed that through ritual and preservation, the obedient could cheat decay. Children who asked no questions were kept, their bodies sealed in wax and herbs. The disobedient simply vanished. The legacy did not die. It evolved. Modern birth records show Elbridge children born on paper in the 1970s and 80s only to vanish without a trace marked, preserved in tradition. An anonymous midwife in West Virginia recently posted online about a family who paid her in cash for a home birth, referring to the baby only as a vessel for the sealed one. A week later, she received a lock of jet-black infant hair tied with a red ribbon. The land itself is the final testament. Today, the Elbridge homestead is a silent, cursed patch of earth. Electronics fail near it. The soil is warm in winter. Those who dare to walk there report the sound of digging beneath the earth, not with shovels, but with hands. And on a windless night, if you listen closely, a single voice sometimes carries across the trees. A little girl's voice. It says, "Tell them we're still here." The curse of the Elbridges did not end because a bloodline died. It waits. It endures. Because a curse only ends when the last person refuses to feed it. And in the deep, dark soil of Appalachia, something is still very, very hungry.